It's time to talk about my acne. I'm not gonna lie, I have been procrastinating this because I know it's gonna be a hard video. Like, in some sense, it's just me being able to share what has worked over the last year for me and what hasn't. But I feel like if you're struggling with acne, you know, finding the right products, finding a good dermatologist or an esthetician, those are all hard. Nothing is harder than the way you talk to yourself when you're struggling with acne. Let's start out with when I started experiencing acne. I honestly didn't have acne as a teenager. Really, none of my siblings did either. And I first started experiencing acne after moving to LA at 25 years old. Started getting just like light breakouts, like a little bit of texture on my forehead. And I was like, okay, this is weird, but like maybe it's just the stress from the move. And it only got worse, like rapidly. And to kind of set the stage for you more, when I first moved to LA, I was working in influencer events and I got laid off a month into living in LA, and I transitioned to making content full time, which was very stressful because this is also when the acne starts really getting bad. So I'm starting to get like deep cystic breakouts on my forehead, on my cheeks. It's very painful and I'm like, it's okay, let me just go to a dermatologist. So I visit a dermatologist and things get dramatically worse for me after that. Like, they just kind of start throwing prescriptions at me. I try another dermatologist, same experience. I don't really feel like I'm going to a dermatologist and anything I'm saying is really being heard because I have very dry skin. Even with all of these breakouts, my skin is super dry on the surface. It's like peeling. It kind of hurts even to just like have wind blow on my face. So to go into a dermatologist and then be thrown a bunch of drying prescriptions was exhausting. At this point though, I'm pretty desperate, so I'm willing to try anything they're throwing my way. Tretinoin, antibiotics, spironolactone. I have tried it all. None of those things actually helped my acne. If anything, I would actually say a lot of them only made things worse. What I think I was really dealing with was more of a damaged skin barrier and hormonal imbalances, and those two combined really were just making my skin unbelievably stressed. So nothing could really work because even if I would address one, if I wasn't trying to fix the other, then nothing was gonna get better. Because I was creating content full time, I feel like having the acne felt so overwhelming because I post a lot of beauty content. So I'm filming, posting my face almost every day. And initially, I really was too overwhelmed by it to ever want to post my skin. Like, I felt like I was working overtime to make it not very visible. And it came a point where I was talking to my friend Melissa and she was like, this is a journey that you need to share. And whether I was ready or not, having that talk really made me think to myself what I was saying to people watching if I was trying to cover up my acne. To me, forcing myself to cover it up and not just being able to show my bare skin meant that it was something wrong rather than a journey that you go through or just a normal issue that people experience, right? Like so many people deal with acne, but covering it up and hiding that journey and not sharing it with anyone honestly wasn't helping me, and it certainly wasn't helping anyone else. So once I decided to kind of start this journey, really pay more attention to what I was trying, what I was testing, I was doing a deep dive on the internet. Like, I feel like I have a Google degree in acne because I've watched so many videos, read so many articles, gone through research articles, gone through just random YouTube videos, like you name it. I feel like I have dug through the information to try to figure out what was causing my acne. And a lot of things are looking more into holistic approaches. So I ended up going to a holistic esthetician. At the end of the day, I don't feel like that was particularly helpful for me. They told me to take 1,000,000 supplements, told me to not eat 8,000 things. And to me, that's just not practical. Like, as a solution, cutting out dozens of food groups and having to take 1,000,000 supplements wasn't a way I wanted to live my life. So I ended up not really following those steps, but here's a little bit more of what I ended up doing after I started researching acne, learning more about it, the causes, and things that may be helpful. Once I started doing more digging and I was increasingly feeling the discomfort of my skin from all of the active ingredients I was putting on, I decided to go 2 weeks without any kind of active ingredients. And I know that that sounds really daunting because everything marketed to acne-prone skin is an exfoliant, which means that you're drying out the oil on your skin. But having a damaged skin barrier can actually cause a lot of acne because you're opening up the pores and you're not letting your skin do its job, which is to keep bacteria out. So what I ended up doing was not using actives for 2 weeks, and I had a pretty dramatic improvement in the texture of my skin just from cutting those out because it really gave my skin a chance to breathe. So I first did that, and then I started focusing on pore clogging ingredients. So pore clogging ingredients are just ingredients that we know may clog your pores. Pretty much exactly what it sounds like, but I started going through and auditing every product I was putting on my skin. So a lot of the makeup I was using, a lot of the moisturizers I was using, sunscreen, etc., all had things that we know might clog your pores, and I decided to cut all of those out, and I went and made an entirely new skincare routine based off of things that I knew were safe, and I used the Acne Clinic NYC. I'll leave it linked down in the description to check all of the ingredients of the products. Now that I've made it a little bit further in my acne journey and my skin is doing a lot better, I don't feel like it's as necessary to cut out all of those ingredients, but initially I did see a pretty dramatic improvement. I think when you're dealing with a damaged skin barrier and then you add on ingredients that might end up clogging your pores, the likelihood of those clogging your pores is a lot higher if your skin barrier isn't functioning to protect your pores like it should be. Those are the primary things I did from June to December of 2022. At the start of 2023, a skincare company in LA called Corrective Skincare LA reached out to me and said that they wanted to work with me to work on my acne. I'd been sharing lots of acne content, lots of things that were working for me, things that weren't, and so I decided to give it a try. I think that they have great transformations, and I really did have a good experience going there. What I ended up doing there was mostly light chemical peels and extractions. I'm not gonna lie to you, that is pretty pricey to do with an esthetician, and I was getting those done every 2 weeks. And I do feel like I saw the most dramatic jump in my skin when I was doing that every 2 weeks. Like, that really cleared up a lot of my remaining acne. Like, once I had the foundations right and I wasn't destroying my skin barrier and I wasn't using ingredients that were gonna clog my pores, it was more about clearing up what was still underneath and also giving my skin a little bit more of a fresh start. Because I had a lot of success cutting out active ingredients, I was so scared of bringing exfoliants back into my routine, and I knew that was kind of giving me more acne because I wasn't sure what my skin would tolerate and what it wouldn't. So working with an esthetician that knew a little bit more about skin and could tell me, okay, your skin is a little bit too irritated to do anything, or like your skin is looking better, we can start integrating new ingredients, was super helpful for me. They also were kind enough to share a discount code for $25 off your first visit if you are based in LA and struggling with acne. I really can't recommend them enough. Eventually, my skin was looking a lot better and I ended up no longer going to Corrective Skincare. My skin was doing a lot better and it felt a lot more manageable on my own. I had stopped getting those like deep cystic hormonal breakouts and it was more of just tiny texture. So I ended up deciding, you know, it's time, we are gonna start doing it alone. And that's when I ended up finding the Shani Darden chemical peels, because I feel like the chemical peels helped my skin so much that I really didn't want to give them up. But again, going to an esthetician is really pricey, so it's not something that I want to be paying for every 2 weeks. So the Shani Darden chemical peels, you can get them at Sephora. They honestly work wonders. I feel like they continue to keep my skin a lot more clear, and you can use those every 2 weeks. And then between doing those chemical peels, I like using the Dr. Dennis Gross daily peels. They have one for sensitive skin, one that's a little bit heavier, and then just like a mid-level one. I don't use them every day. They are designed for everyday use, but for my skin, I found that's just a little bit too much. So I try to use one or two just between the Shani Darden chemical peels. So the chemical peels and working on the daily peel with Dr. Dennis Gross really helped keep a lot of that texture away. Another major benefit about chemical peels is that they also help tackle acne scarring and hyperpigmentation. So it helps not only prevent active acne, but it's also actively lifting a lot of that hyperpigmentation, which is something that I feel like was a huge struggle for me. While I was carrying on with the chemical peels and using the Dr. Dennis Gross daily peels, I also was focusing on having a really hydrating and super gentle skincare routine. In my opinion, acne-prone skin is honestly very sensitive and you should treat it a lot more like you're treating sensitive skin. So I started focusing on having very gentle ingredients and a lot of hydration, but making sure that that hydration was very lightweight. So I like to do that in more of a layered sense than just like putting on one super thick moisturizer. So for the base of my like gentle hydrating skincare routine, I have a hypochlorous acid spray, which is antibacterial and it's great for eczema too. So it's really good at being gentle, but still preventing that bacteria from being on the skin. And then just a gentle cleanser. I also oil cleanse or use a cleansing balm if I am wearing makeup because I really want to get that off the skin before I go in with a cleanser. I would say my biggest tip for that is making sure you find an oil cleanser or a cleansing balm that emulsifies really well in water because we don't want that oil sitting on your skin, which is going to lead to clogging your pores. We really need it to mix well with water and pretty much melt away. And then I can follow that with a gentle cleanser. I love the Core's Greek yogurt cleanser. I also love La Roche-Posay's gentle hydrating cleanser. That's better if you have dry skin. And then I also love Youth to the People, their kale cleanser. I used that genuinely for years. It worked when my skin was dry, eczema prone, and it also worked when my skin was dealing with tons of acne. I was genuinely really impressed by that cleanser, but recently I've really been loving the Core's one. You probably see it in a lot more of my videos now than the Youth to the People one, but I would really recommend any of those three. So I talked a little bit about hydrating your skin in layers. So the way that I do this is using a hydrating toner, a hyaluronic acid, and then a lightweight moisturizer. So examples of good hydrating toners would be the Innisfree green tea toner, there's a Thayer's milky toner, and then I also used the Laneige cream skin toner. All of those have worked great for my skin. It really is a little bit of trial and error. I also loved the Peach Slices Snail Mucin toner. That's another good one. And Snail Mucin has been pretty good for my acne prone skin as long as it's not in like a thick formula. I think that it can work great because it's antibacterial the same way that a hypochlorous acid spray would be. So it's going to help prevent that bacteria from living on the skin and potentially getting in your pores. For the second layer, I love using a hyaluronic acid, and you're going to want to use that on damp skin. You could skip the toner and just pat water on your face, but I do toner and then the hyaluronic acid. I've used the one by Versed, and then I also love the one by Osea. And then currently I'm using the Innisfree green tea hyaluronic acid, which is more of like a mid price range. For the final layer of hydration, I always add in a lightweight moisturizer. Some of the ones that I've liked are the Skin Fix Gel Cream formula, the Summer Fridays Cloud Dew, and also the Innisfree Green Tea Moisturizer. Clearly, I'm a big fan of the green tea line. I just feel like it's a great price point and all of the products have worked really well for my acne-prone skin. So I haven't had any breakouts after using them. And I just really, again, the price point is pretty unmatched for the product quality. Another product that I integrated into my routine was the Caudalie Vinoperfect serum. I swear by that serum. It helped so much with my hyperpigmentation. It's absolutely crazy. I have several videos dedicated on my TikTok talking about how that product worked for me. I also have a video going over the 30-day process and the transformation that I had on my skin. So I'll go ahead and leave those linked down below if you want to check it out. What I loved the most about the Caudalie Vinoperfect serum is that I didn't have any irritation. Vitamin C was always super irritating for my skin, even before acne. So for me, finding something that could help lighten the dark spots without all of the irritation that I experienced with vitamin C was incredibly helpful. I don't feel like I use a ton of face masks, but I will say that there are 2 face masks that I feel like helped other than the Shani Darden chemical peels, and that would be the Murad Rapid Relief Acne Mask and the Caudalie Instant Detox Mask. I feel like both of those are great if you're dealing with acne prone skin and you're feeling like you have a lot of congestion and you need something to just kind of help draw that out of the skin. Those are both great options. The Murad mask also has sulfur in it, so if you're dealing with fungal acne, that's a great ingredient for you to consider. And then of course, it never hurts to tackle the basics, which would be having clean makeup brushes, clean pillowcases, clean towels when you're drying off your face. Basically, we want to limit the spread of bacteria. Another thing that I would try to avoid, which I know is really hard when you're struggling with acne, because you see somebody post a video like the one that I'm making right now, and you want to add everything to your cart and try everything that they are doing. But I promise you that is only going to make your acne worse. If you can try to keep a notes app or a journal of new products that you're trying, keep photos of your skin so you know what the progress is looking like, right? Because one of the craziest things is I still to this day look at my skin and I feel like I haven't made enough progress, right? Like I have breakout and I'm like, oh my God, it's all gonna happen again and my skin is gonna break out everywhere. And I feel like when you keep those photos and you're really keeping track of how your skin is progressing, it's so much easier to see what's working and what isn't. So I highly recommend either put it in your notes app, create a little skin folder in your camera roll, create a little video diary for yourself, make sure that you're tracking new products and how your skin is reacting to them. But you do need to give those time, right? If you find it helpful, let me know in the comments. I'm happy to help work on maybe a PDF or some kind of journal for you to keep track of what you're putting on your skin and how your skin is progressing, because I really think the fact that I started creating content around acne and was documenting every day of how my skin was looking, it made it a lot easier for me personally to see what was working for my skin versus what wasn't. So be sure to take the time to document your skin. I know that like it feels horrible to pick up a camera and talk to it or share what your skin is looking like. You don't need to post it anywhere. Keep it for yourself, but just keep track of what your skin is looking like. That is everything I have for you today. I really am sending you so much love because I imagine if you're watching this video, you are feeling the struggle of acne, and I know how hard it can be. So please let me know if you have any questions or there's anything I can do to support you in your acne journey in the comments. Send me a DM on Instagram. I'm happy to chat, and I hope to see you next week.